Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Tonight, negotiating for a living, how to make a six-figure income on a part-time basis. I'm Tom Antion. Our guest has helped U.S. congressmen's families negotiate complex legal situations. He's been on hundreds of radio shows talking about negotiating and leveraged investing. He's taught hundreds of people how to make a six-figure income on a part-time basis. He's an author, investor, and master negotiator, James Gage. So, James, thank you for coming to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Tom. I'm really excited to be here and to be with your viewers.
Well, let me ask you about this. You actually helped U.S. congressmen's families. How did you do that? I got to hear this.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm kind of stunned myself. Ordinary Joe like me, I have a former congressman's family calling me, asking me for help, when I would have thought, when scratching my head, they should be calling a high-priced attorney. But they heard of me and my negotiating skills, and they called up and they needed some help with a litigation problem. And so there it began.
So you're not an attorney? You are an attorney? Or you're a low-priced attorney? What is it?
No, I'm not a barred attorney. However, I have a legal background.
Okay, so how can a person that's not an attorney represent someone being sued or in some kind of legal problem?
Well, Tom, to tell you the truth, this is where it gets real interesting. You don't have to be an attorney to represent somebody. You can be what's called their fiduciary. What you're going to do is have them sign a power of attorney, and under the law, you can represent them just like they were representing themselves. So
you can be in a business to do this without being an attorney?
Exactly.
Amazing. So how did you get started doing this?
Well, I started about 15-plus years ago. I'm the type of person I like to think that sits on park benches and watches people because I think you can learn a lot from watching people and seeing cycles and trends and so forth. And it happened to be this particular park bench was next to a courthouse. And I knew, since I have a legal background, as I stated earlier, that about 98% of cases are settled on the courtroom steps. They never get in actually before a judge and a jury. And I said there must be a way to go ahead and put a business together with these parameters. So I took a few weeks, and I thought and put it down on paper, and I said, hey, let's see. If I can take my negotiating skills, which, by the way, I had used in real estate investing, and put it into a business, hey, I may have something here. And that was the inception of it. So I put my business model together, I started working my plan, and within a couple of weeks I had all the cases that I could handle.
Amazing. Now, and when we were talking earlier, you told me about a thing called an independent arbitrator. What exactly is that? Is that the name of this business you're talking about?
Well, I like to think that I coined the phrase. There's different types of arbitration, and briefly I just want to go over each one with you. There's binding arbitration, there's non-binding arbitration, there's court-appointed arbitration, and then there's something that I created, independent arbitration. Arbitration, when you think of arbitration, you usually think of a person in the middle and then a person on either side. They hear the case, and then they render a decision similar to what a judge does. And then it's either binding or non-binding. Well, with independent arbitration, we just represent one side of the coin.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're not playing both sides and trying to get the. I see. You're representing one of them. So can you explain this business? What's a typical day like? How do you work a business like this?
Well, the great part of this business is you can work as much or as little as you want. You're not painted into a corner as far as a 40-hour-a-week job. That's what the power behind this particular business opportunity is, and it's very easy. Normally, I put maybe 25, 30 hours the most into this business and make a six-figure income on a regular basis. And most of it is just done on the phone or by fax.
So you don't even have to go stand around the courthouse all day long to dig up cases?
Absolutely not.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, what kind of person would be a good candidate to learn this and be in this kind of business?
Well, I firmly believe I can teach anybody how to do what I do, Tom. Whether you're a housewife or you're a stay-at-home mom looking for mother's hours or a recent college graduate or somebody looking for a career change. With my system, I can teach you how to do this.
Do they need to be a paralegal or any kind of legal background or business background to do this?
No, that's the beauty behind this business, Tom. You don't have to have that kind of background. With my negotiating skills that I'm going to teach you, you're going to be able to do this with no problem. Really, negotiating is $1 million skill. There's a learning curve to anything that we do in life, whether it's in your job or real estate investing, but then after all is said and done with that knowledge, it all comes down to knowing how to negotiate.
Now, do you need any kind of license for this business other than a normal business kind of license?
At the present time, there's no federal or state regulation. Another beauty, you don't need a business license. You don't need to hang a shingle outside your home. You can do this from the comfort of your own home.
Now, do you have to take a long time to ramp up to get business going? Is this a year or 2 years of study before you can get going?
Absolutely not. Usually, the students that I work with, they usually have their first case within 14 days.
14 days, that's soon.
Yes.
Now, this sounds too good to be true. That you know, that sounds a little crazy, but I understand when we were talking that you helped them get their first client. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I give them their first client. After their training and they've done a few cases and they have a few cases under their belt, then I put them into a system where there's going to be unending leads for them.
Well, it would seem if it's this easy, there's probably everybody and their brother and sister are doing this. Is there a lot of competition in this field?
Well, there's virtually no competition in the independent arbitration field for one simple matter, that people are not good negotiators. If you ask people, are you a good negotiator, of course they're going to put up their hand and say yes. But with all due respect, I always say to them, you're not a good negotiator because you're either leaving too much money on the table or you just don't know how to talk to certain people. And that's the key. When you're dealing with an attorney, you have to know how to speak to the attorney, what kind of verbiage to use and so forth. When you're talking to a creditor, you have to know how the creditor talks. If you're dealing with the IRS or the Department of Revenue, you have to know what questions to ask to be credible.
And you'll teach people how to do this.
Absolutely, A to Z.